and then they and the West Coast said, under no circumstances you're going to be changing that, and so.
But there was a great 16th century debate about the whole manhood of Christ.
No,
there was, yes. And particularly north of the Alps, in Netherlandish and German painting, there was a determination to show that, I've forgotten what the Latin for it is, but anyway, it is to indicate enough of the genitals of Christ to indicate that he was wholly a man.
Mm-hmm.
And it may even go back to the Mantegna Dead Christ, where there is quite clearly a kind of a mound. And the controversy extended into the 17th century, and the clearest example of it is in a painting by Velázquez in the National Gallery, Ostentatio Genitalium. That was the term, and Christ has been beaten, and he's sitting and roped with his hands to the column, and the drapery in his groin is very clearly a statement that this is no sort of half man. This is a real man. So you have a controversy which lasts at least 100 years. And so it was, again, perfectly proper. You didn't know you were doing it, but it was perfectly proper of you to...
Historically.
Yes, I mean, there's a historic foundation for that.
Yes. Well, yes, because he would have it wrong, because he would have looked completely wrong not to have done that. So I wasn't intending to upset or shock, but simply because it was wrong not to do it according what the drapery and what the position of the body, etc. was. But now I think everybody is relatively happy. Now would be more happy if they would undertake also what the message which was given to them, because there was very clear from the beginning that we are not necessarily making an artistic a comment with this work, but also give it a message, and this is the main thing, no? Because the message is as equally important as, no?
Yes, unless there are more questions.
Ricardo, just a question. I mean, some churches, a lot of churches in Italy, can be quite gloomy with light and everything, and that wall was never meant to display something so large.
Yes.
When it's all open, doors open. I mean, the window on the top looks wonderful because there's the light of God coming through. But when the light comes through, when people are coming in the church, does it still give a good visibility all around? I mean, is there parts of the painting that you wish could be seen more in a better light? Because I mean, that photo, for example, everything closed, looks quite good.
The door, the main door,
yeah,
which is representing the darkness side,
yeah,
which is lower. So it's all we did it very dark, almost like it's a very dark green, and very seldom they open except when it's a funeral,
okay,
or yes, but I think the question is about lateral lighting. In the side chapels along the nave, there are big arched windows, so there's quite a lot of light.
Yes, exactly, and you're quite right, because one of the things which really is very moving, if somebody ever go to see that, I would recommend it to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:30, if it's still open, because they come in a light right here, here on this thing, and I promise that it's very rather moving because the light is coming from where, right here in the center of Christ, and give to that rather magical effect, and possibly the other one is with this light, but depends if it is summer or winter, but I painted in winter, which is better than summer because the light is a little bit less ferocious, and then it's very beautiful because it's very gentle on the whole figure of Christ, so everything is quite nice.
There was a question at the back.
I was going to ask, do you think to undertake such a commission, you would need necessarily to be a believer?
Well, this is a very interesting point. Now, possibly, do we know if Caravaggio was a great believer? Do we know? I think it doesn't go that way, because not the priest, not Don Fabio, not the Archbishop ever asked me if I was believing in Christ, in God, whatever, if I was religious. They never would touch the subject. They have to assume, presumably by because I was coming from an area that that I would have been, my family at least, Roman Catholic.
Let me move
That
away
is-
from the use of painting by the Christian Church in any of its forms, and turn your attention to something like the flaying of Marsyas by Titian. Titian didn't have to believe when he painted that picture, but that painting contains as much passion and compassion as any painting of a Christian tragedy. And I think the painter, if he is anything of a painter, has the capacity to put himself in the position of the event, and in creating a great painting, suffers that event, puts himself into it, and that is where his understanding comes from. And I think you must look at the great classical subjects and see how they are treated with absolute, not belief, but absolute understanding, which is what makes them great paintings. And look at a Giorgione and that wonderful nude, and then you look at the Castelfranco Madonna, and there is the same intensity of passion and interest in both paintings. So you don't have to be a Christian to even a Roman, let alone a Roman Catholic. You don't have to be a Christian to understand the high seriousness of a Christian subject. And I think there are enough examples of Jewish painters and sculptors involving themselves in Christian iconography to indicate that here is something which they are forbidden to believe. But Epstein, for example, when he did the Madonna and Child in Cavendish Square, quite clearly, absolutely understood what that meant. And so I quite understand your question, but I think the answer is very simple. You don't have to believe in order to be able to put every ounce of conviction into a subject.
I think that complementing what Brian's saying, I believe that, or at least in my case, there are certain moments that whatever is painting could be you, could be anyone else. What I'm trying to say is that you become like a medium somewhere, yes, and then you are there, and but you are not fully conscious of the whole process, and that is interesting. And this is something that we are not going to go into metaphysical, but or religious experience. But there is some kind of religious in that moment in which you are doing something, and it happened quite a lot here. But it happened in my studio when I do any other work, that there is this moment of abstraction, if you like, that you are part of something else. You are not you, but you are somehow. Your hands is commanded by whatever, I don't know.
Yes.
And that would explain a little bit about that, whether you have to be religious or not. I don't think it goes that way, as Brian says. It's more to do with the, what do you say?
Identification. Identification.
Yeah.
Empathy.
Yeah.
No more questions.
I think they'll be fantastic, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.